Welcome to the many interpretations of Diplodocus, Part 2. Now, in the last episode, I alluded to the fact that it seemed likely I was missing some depictions, and all of you guys certainly helped me out by letting me know the ones that I did miss. I mean, I was certainly uncertain. It felt like we were kind of light on Diplodocus depictions. I felt like it was a far more well-known sauropod in the media than what I was currently seeing, at the depictions I was looking at. Now, the reason why I missed quite a few of them is probably due to the fact that I've been kind of pressed for time recently due to my job increasing our hours. We're closer to like 12-hour shifts and whatnot, which is really unfortunate. But once again, thank you to everybody who has helped me out. So now I can cover these awesome designs in this video. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First up is from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1987 TV series. We get this kind of like retro Diplodocus. It lacks the spines, it has a shorter neck, and it's dragging its tail, which is very lizard-like. And is, overall an older depiction of the animal. The skull looks pretty good, though. It kind of has that classic Diplodocus type skull, and it has overall a huge body, so a pretty decent start overall. The Land Before Time. I'm actually really upset about this one because I 100% intended to add it in the previous episode, in the previous part. Even when I was a child, I always kind of assumed that Doc here was a Diplodocus because of his longer snout and, his overall longer, thinner neck and longer tail. So I had completely intended to include him, but for whatever reason, when I was making this video, I just completely spaced it out. So I'm very upset with myself on that one. Anyway, Doc here, he kind of reminds me of a Clint Eastwood type character, someone who just kind of moseys on by, doesn't necessarily have a name, even though his name is Doc, and takes out the terrible sharp teeth that seem to be, attacking innocent folk. It's a very cool concept for a dinosaur. I think he's referred to as the lone dinosaur here. I really like his appearance as a Diplodocus. He's distinct from the apatosaurs / brontosaurs that we see most frequently in terms of the long necks in the franchise. Again, as I mentioned, he has that longer snout and thinner neck and an overall kind of thinner tail. Oh yeah, and he also has a scar, that's just cool. That's just very cool. You gotta love something like that. Dino Dan. I'm also sad that I didn't include this. This is a very cool depiction. It has that classic Diplodocus body structure. The whole posture looks really good. It's holding its neck a little bit higher, which that is very much likely for the animal. Like I said before, it is still a matter of debate, but it is still likely that it held its head a little bit more vertical. It has those spines that go down its back, and I love these spots. I love the brighter spots. I also really like the way that its head looks. It looks like it has some extra tissue on top of its head. It's kind of like those the nostrils traveling all the way from where the nares is on top of its head all the way down to where the nostril openings would have been. So I love that. So all around, I think that this is a fantastic design. Dinosaurs Alive has a Seismosaurus. As I mentioned before, Seismosaurus is a dinosaur that is synonymous with Diplodocus, so technically this is Diplodocus. Very cool design right here, though. I really like the quality of the CGI, and the colors are pretty interesting overall. Has that classic Diplodocus skull. The whole body looks really good, and I really like the way that they did the tail. You can really see how whip-like it turns towards the end of it. So not too many notes overall. I think it's a fine depiction. In Dinosaur Train, we get this really interesting kind of lime-colored, neon green sort of Diplodocus right here. Everything seems to match up in a sort of stylized way. Longer snout, the decently thin and longer neck, and the thinner, longer tail. The colors are certainly a standout, but they really do fit the style of the show. So all around, it's a pretty interesting design as well. And now Jurassic World. I'm also kicking myself for this one because I remembered this one. I remembered that this existed. I remember taking a note about this one existing. I might have even mentioned it in a previous video, but I forgot again. There are some baby Diplodocus in the Lockwood Manor. There's a lot of different dinosaur Easter eggs, essentially, in that whole showroom, and baby Diplodocus are one of them. You can even see some adult Diplodocus in the back that honestly kind of look like the Walking with Dinosaurs Diplodocus. The babies look pretty cool here, though. They certainly look like baby Diplodocus. They have, more stout, just kind of robust features. They have the larger eyes. Overall, they don't just look like many versions of adults. So they look good. I like them. I think that they look pretty darn good as depictions of baby Diplodocus. And once again, I am sad that I didn't include them. Another one that I'm sad about that I also remember seeing, and once you guys commented about it, it's kind of like it brought those memories back to the forefront. In Dead Sound Soria, the winter weathered episode, we see some Diplodocus, and they, of course, have beautiful designs. Dead Sound always knocks it out of the park with his creature designs, and the Diplodocus is no exception. I also really like these colors. I love the striping on the neck in particular. I think that gives it a very nice look overall. I also really like the way that those spines look going down the back, and the overall body and tail looks fantastic as the animal. So all around, again, another solid design. Then in Prehistoric Kingdom. I actually didn't know that there was ever talks for Diplodocus to be added in Prehistoric Kingdom. I wish I did, because this is a very good design too. Holding its head a little bit more vertically. It's got a very long appearance, which matches up for Diplodocus. I love the way that those spines look on this model in particular. It looks really cool. And the striping on the tail is something that really stands out. Also, what's kind of interesting is that it seems like those spikes kind of lead into what might be possible like weaponry on its tail at the end there, which is certainly a very interesting thought. I think I've seen some paleo art depict it like that. I think there was even like a piece done by Fred Virum that did that very thing, and it's certainly an interesting idea. I wouldn't really mind seeing something like that, but it is a very good design. You know, I think that this, like, if this ever does get added to the game, which I certainly hope it does, I think it would be a fantastic addition. Of course, we already have two Diplodokids in the game, that being a Patasaurus and Brontosaurus, but 3 would be pretty cool. You know, and there's a lot of potential for some cool animals in this game, if I'm being honest. Okay, so now we have prior extinction. So I did not know that Diplodocus was in this, but of course many of you let me know, and I'm glad you did, because I really like the way that this looks. I like how it's holding its head. I think that's overall a pretty cool posture for the animal, and one that is of course likely for the animal. I really like its overall model in general. I think it captures the animal pretty well. Love the way that the head looks, and of course I love the way that those spines look as well. Certainly would be one that I'd want to play, because this is pretty cool. I do really quite like this. Let's hear the stuff. Hear the roar. You'll notice it also stood in a tripod pose right there. I didn't mention this in the first part, but that is something that they likely could do. You know, stand on their hind legs and then their tails would go on the ground like that. Through the general consensus, it seems likely that they were able to do something along those lines, which is very cool, and it looked really cool right there. I love how deep it is. That sort of bellow just makes sense for the animal. There's also a subadult, which looks really good. The teen that looks really good too. I like how it kind of seems like they're growing into their spines, I think, as far as I can tell. Yeah, they're really reduced right here in the juvenile, the hatchling. Can barely even see it, but still pretty cool overall. And then, of course, there's the elder, which is larger and has more pronounced spines. I love it. I think it's a fantastic depiction, and I'm really glad that I know it exists now, because again, it's very cool. And there we have it. So once again, thank you to everybody who pointed all of these out to me. A lot of them simply did just slip my mind, because I've had a lot on my mind recently. These next couple weeks should be a little bit easier. I mean, we're still working those longer hours, but I should be more used to it by then. And I think I have a pretty decent schedule in place. So hopefully things won't be all over the place for the next video. But I did want to make sure that I got these guys knocked out, because I do really like a lot of these depictions that were on this second part. So I didn't want them to be left out overall, especially for a sauropod that is as iconic as Diplodocus. So once again, to sound like a broken record, thank you so much to everybody who pointed all of these out for me. But that's pretty much all I have for this one. If you liked this video and you enjoy dinosaur related content, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much to all my patrons and my channel members. You guys are helping out tremendously, and I really do appreciate you. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome day.